Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. My name is Corey Grant and I'm a Senior Advisor with Neustar's Professional Services team, focusing on .brand TLDs.
Hi, I'm Gemma Keegan and I'm a Policy and Compliance Officer here at Neustar.
Today we're going to talk to you about how you can protect your TLD and ensure it operates as smoothly as possible. This information applies to all TLD operators, whether you have a brand, a generic or a geographic TLD. To make it easier to see where everything fits in, we've broken this down into 5 different areas, which you can see there on the screen. Neustar does offer services to help you out with these areas for registry operators who are Neustar clients and for non-clients, with a product we call Operational Services, which we'll go into more detail later in this discussion. First up is activity in the ICANN community that you need to be aware of. Gemma, can you share what types of things the registry operator needs to keep an eye on?
One of the consistent variables is consensus policies. These are policies which all registry operators need to abide by, and they're regularly being reviewed and updated. Many changes don't have a major impact on the day-to-day operations of new TLDs, but some will, so it's something that you'll need to keep an eye on. Recommendations from working groups can also directly influence the operations of new TLDs. Now, I won't try and name all of them as we'd be here all day, but some of the topical discussions at the moment are happening in the registry stakeholder group. The RYSG is planning a session with ICANN contractual compliance at ICANN 64 in Kobe, Japan, to discuss the recent audit and the remit of compliance. There's also the Subsequent Procedures PDP working group, or the Sub-Pro working group. This is the group making recommendations on what the next round of new TLDs is going to look like. So whether you're a generic, geo or brand TLD, the outcome of their recommendations will affect most of you.
So Gemma, I know you and other members of your team spend hours listening into working group calls at all hours of the day and the night and reviewing comments on documents generated as a result of those discussions. What about actually participating?
So obviously there are various levels of participation, from joining interest groups such as the Brand Registry Group, right through to being an ICANN board member. For most registry operators, I'd recommend at a minimum that you monitor a couple of the working groups that are relevant to you and join a stakeholder group. There are many ICANN events each year. Normally there's 3 to 4 major ones spread out across the globe. At a minimum, you'd need to attend one of these per year to keep up to speed.
Yes, those ICANN meetings do keep the frequent flyer point totals up. Let's look at Area 3. So the first 2 areas were mainly focused on keeping up with changes in the industry. Now we're going to take a look at the areas where contractually you're obliged to take action as a registry operator. Gemma, tell us all about Centralised Zone Data Service, or CZDS to its friends.
So the practical result of CZDS for TLD registry operators is that periodically you need to log into the Naming Services portal and respond to requests from all manner of people who would like to see a copy of your zone file. There is no specific mandated frequency with which registry operators must process CZDS requests, just within a reasonable time. We recommend doing so weekly. Requests come from people like researchers, some are industry people who monitor data, others are students or just curious tech people. Most requests are reasonable and are approved, but you do have the right to reject requests for certain specific reasons, and we do exactly that, as politely as possible, of course.
So I always remind people that this is one of the most visible parts of the list of obligations that you have as a registry operator. It is fairly simple to train up on, but it is easily the most time-consuming obligation that you have.
Definitely.
Okay, self-audits. Apart from the ICANN audit, which we'll get to, this is the source of many questions, so plenty of people get confused on these.
They certainly do. There are 3 types of self-audits registry operators may need to conduct as part of their annual certification of compliance. Only registry operators that meet certain conditions are required to submit annual certifications to ICANN. The 3 types are the annual certification of compliance with the Registry Operator Code of Conduct. So if during any part of the year, you or any registry-related party, like an affiliate or a subsidiary, operate as a registrar or registrar reseller, you'll need to conduct an internal review of your compliance with the Code of Conduct as per Specification 9 of the Registry Agreement. This covers things like not showing any preference or special consideration to any registrar, front-running or sharing registrant personal data unethically, and then submit the results of that review along with a certification of your compliance to ICANN. The second type is the annual certification of compliance with the Code of Conduct Notice of Exemption. So if you've been granted a Notice of Exemption to Specification 9, you're required to conduct an internal review of your compliance with the representations you made in your exemption request and the criteria set forth in ICANN's Code of Conduct exemption process. And these results, along with the certification of your compliance, need to be submitted to ICANN annually. The third type is the annual certification of compliance with Specification 13. So if you're a brand TLD and you have a Specification 13, you're required to conduct an internal review of your compliance with the definition of a brand TLD as per Specification 13 and submit those results along with the certification of your compliance to ICANN.
Okay, so Area 5 is security monitoring. Remember, whether you are a generic, a geographic, a brand TLD or any other category, ICANN treats every TLD the same in terms of monitoring for malicious activity on your TLD. Whether you have 1 domain or 10 million, you still need to be able to show ICANN that you're actively monitoring your TLD. At Neustar, we have a service called the Registry Threat Mitigation Service, or RTMS, which is run by our security team. It has a self-service portal, or you can opt to have Neustar manage that for you. Which leads us to the topic of ICANN audits, such as the one initiated by ICANN near the end of 2018. Gemma, can you share with everyone how this audit came about and what people can do to reduce the impact of these audits?
Absolutely. So under the registry agreement, ICANN may audit registry operators up to twice per year. In previous years, ICANN had audited just a handful of registries in each audit round, usually 20 or so. In October 2018, ICANN sent a pre-audit notification for an audit round focusing on DNS infrastructure abuse and security threats. We received a few of these notifications without knowing which TLDs they were for, so we sought clarification from ICANN, who confirmed that all TLDs that had 1 or more registered domain names had been selected for audit. That is, over 1,200 TLDs. An audit of this size was completely unprecedented, and it came as a surprise to most of us. So you can see the timeline here. ICANN provided an initial notification period, and then everyone was required to submit their responses. But what is worth noting here is the phases after that submission step. That was just ICANN gathering information. After that, we move into the actual audit phase, where ICANN reviews the responses submitted. From there, ICANN will issue an initial audit report to each registry audited with their initial findings, and the registry may clarify or address findings if necessary. Then we move into remediation, to resolve any issues that have been discovered during the audit. Finally, ICANN will issue a final report specific to each auditee, and publish a public audit report which summarises the audit round. ICANN states that the audit timeline is approximately 5 months and had initially had a target end date for this round of 31 May 2019. However, this was recently revised to a new target of 30 June 2019. This is not surprising given the sheer number of auditees. Reviewing 1,200 plus responses is a significant undertaking.
Gemma, I know you and your team were flat out helping clients prepare for the audit. Can you tell us what you actually did for people?
Sure. So for Neustar clients who have our operational services product, we prepared everything for submission and, once approved, submitted their audit responses. Because we're constantly monitoring activity and collecting information for those clients, we had it all ready to go for them. For clients who don't use our operational services product, most still have our security monitoring service that we call RTMS. So we just reminded them how to download their reports so they could include them in their audit submissions. But judging from the questions we got, many people haven't been staying on top of their obligations.
And you mentioned that ICANN only gathered information during that submission step. So what clarifying questions do you expect registry operators to get from ICANN in the next phase?
Given the format of the RFI used in this audit round, it's possible that ICANN will seek clarification where a registry has indicated that a question is not applicable to them, or for evidence of investigations of abuse reporting where relevant. ICANN has shown during this audit round that they are serious about enforcing the registry agreement wholly and to the fullest extent.
Great, thanks Gemma. Now we have mentioned a couple of times the operational services product offered by Neustar to help with your commitments as a registry operator and how to protect your TLD. We didn't actually offer this service when TLDs first launched. We quickly discovered how much effort was involved and built a team around covering this for the TLDs that we ran ourselves. Then we started getting requests from clients for this type of service, and we figured out that we could offer it for much less than if someone were to dedicate their own resources to it. So operational services covers all 5 areas that we ran through today. After you sign up, we have a kick-off meeting where we determine how much you'd like us to cover. Most clients are happy for us to become their point of contact for ICANN, abuse and similar. Essentially, we take over the ICANN observation and participation, as well as most of your obligations in your ICANN registry agreement. If anything out of the ordinary arises, then we present that to you with suggestions and then act or respond as you prefer. We provide regular summaries of ICANN meetings and monthly reports on all activity that we monitor and perform. So you'll always have reference documents to show that you're covering your obligations, which many of our brand clients in particular find handy for their own internal compliance audits. And of course, for events such as an ICANN audit, we put together all of the responses required, and once you have reviewed and approved those, submit them for you. We can also serve as your abuse point of contact and handle abuse inquiries on your behalf, including investigation and mitigation actions. This service is available for all types of TLDs and even for TLDs that are not on the Neustar registry platform. So if you're interested or would like to learn more, please reach out on one of the contact methods on the screen. And of course, if you have any questions about any of the content today, please reach out to us. Gemma, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome, anytime.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to reach out if you have any questions or comments.